Welcome to Behind the Recipe. I'm your host, Christina Hitchcock. Join me every week as we dive into the joys of cooking, explore kitchen tips and tricks, and share delicious recipes that will inspire your next meal. So, whether you're a seasoned cook or just learning your way around the stove, there's something here for everyone. Today, we are talking with Addison LaBonte from Sweet Addison's about how she has transitioned her business from blogging into actually creating food products. So, welcome to the show, Addie.
Thank you, Christina. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. So, before we get started, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I was born and raised on the coast of Maine, and I never in a million years thought that I'd become a blogger or a food brand owner. But here we are. I absolutely love what I do. I share gluten-free recipes on organicallyaddison.com. And then about a year and a half ago, in early 2024, I launched my own food brand of gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods, and that's called Sweet Addison's.
I love that. I love your cookies are so good too.
Oh, thank you so much.
So good. Um, so I think that is so fascinating because when we first met you, I think you were just beginning your cookie journey, and like hearing those stories was just like amazing how you built it from nothing into something amazing. So do you want to just share a little bit about that, how that worked for you?
Sure. So I should preface this by saying I had no idea how to launch a food brand when I began. I come from the finance world, so this is extremely different. But I had this idea of creating a truly clean ingredient, better for you baked good company. And in the beginning, again, not knowing much, I had to learn everything by trial and error. And the first step was deciding on the ingredients that I wanted to use and the exact recipes that I wanted to try. So I thought, let's start with the classic chocolate chip cookie and make that in a more wholesome way. So I went through 26 different recipe variations until I landed on the one that we use today. And it was a lot of testing and tweaking and learning. And then once that recipe was ready to go, I contacted a bunch of suppliers of these ingredients. And honestly, I just started in my home kitchen and I was taping up boxes, dropping them off at the post office every day. And it has since grown. We now operate out of a commercial facility. We have an office space and fulfillment area. I have a team
Wow.
that helps me. And it's been the craziest 18 months of my life.
Yeah, so you have grown quite a bit since we last spoke because you were still doing it in your home kitchen when I think we were when we last spoke. So that's amazing. That congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very excited that I'm out of my home kitchen because it was quite literally taking over my entire life. It's nice to have that separation now, and it's so rewarding to have a team that helps me every day.
Oh yeah, and I can imagine the smell of cookies 24/7 would like that would kill me.
I joke that I never have to wear perfume because I just always smell really great.
Well, it's funny aside, my father had a candle business when I was younger, and it was the same thing. It's like you always smelled like everything smelled like candles. The mail smelled like everything smelled like candles.
There are worse things to smell like,
There
right?
are. There are worse things, but I would be perpetually hungry smelling cookies all the time.
Yes. I think I'm a little bit immune to it, but there are some days when I'm like, wow, this it just smells so good.
Yeah. So for somebody who is looking, like I'm thinking if somebody listening is interested in maybe starting their own brand of something, maybe you have a recipe, that you treasure and that everybody always wants. Maybe you're looking to get into creating your own product. Do you have any advice for them, or what are some of the important lessons you've learned along the way?
So my biggest piece of advice is to find somebody who's already doing what you're doing and they're doing it well, and ask them for 20 or 30 minutes of their time and come prepared with a list of questions that you have for them. I found in the beginning that there was so much that I didn't know, and I
Mhm.
thought I could learn all this for the first time on my own, but it's going to take me twice as long, cost me twice as much than if I just reached out to people who have been in my position. And what I found was a lot of really successful people who are further along in their journey are so eager to help people who are just starting out because that's what they wish they had.
Yeah.
So I was met with a lot of really awesome people who gave me so much of their time and knowledge, and they were just so generous with what they provided me with. So that's my biggest piece of advice. And another thing is I always say it's figure outable. Everything out there, you can Google it, YouTube it, ask somebody for help. Everything you can figure out. No problem is going to be too big.
Yeah, insurmountable, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think that that's great advice to ask somebody who's already been there. I mean, getting that like mentor type advice, no matter what kind of business you're in, is critical.
Yeah,
I mean, because
totally
you're right,
agree.
you will lose a lot of money figuring out the mistakes. Like, can you do it? Yes, it will cost you money though.
Right, exactly. So I've always believed in finding a mentor or a coach or somebody who's been there, done that, who is willing to help you. Because there is so much when you start a business from nothing, there's so much to learn in the beginning, and it can be overwhelming, especially if you try to tackle everything on your own. So finding someone, making those connections, and then pretty much every time that I met with someone, they said, "Oh, I need to connect you with this person or this person." And then you have this whole network of people who are rooting you on and there to help you. And it just made such a difference for me and my business.
And that's awesome because you're wearing all the hats, right? Like you are the baker, you are the dishwasher, you are the marketer, you are the tech person, you are the finance person. You are all the people.
Yes, absolutely. As an entrepreneur, you wear so many hats,
Mhm.
especially in the beginning before you hire anybody else. So having that help is
Yeah.
truly a game changer.
Yeah, and it's definitely a big, like you said, a big game changer in the industry. So tell us about how your business has grown. So you started with chocolate chip cookies. Where are you at now? I'm so curious.
So we have 10 different flavors now, which is
Wow.
kind of crazy, but all along, I've really just listened to what my audience has asked me for. So quickly after the chocolate chip cookie, I was asked for a chocolate chip cookie.
Mm.
So then I launched our triple chocolate cookies because those have three different types of chocolate in them, which was really fun for me because chocolate is my very favorite food. So we launched that. And then also, pretty quickly after that, I started getting messages from people who were either vegan or had an egg allergy and said, "Can you create a
Mm.
cookie that doesn't have eggs in it?" So I launched an egg-free version of our chocolate chip cookie. And instead of eggs, I use applesauce, which I have found in vegan baking. I'm not vegan, but I do a lot of vegan baking.
Hmm.
That applesauce is a really great replacement for eggs. So
Oh, good to know.
yes, so that came next. And then again, customers started saying, "What about a brownie?" So we launched brownies.
Oh, wow. So you've gone beyond cookie.
We've gone beyond the cookie, yes. So we
Awesome.
launched brownies. And then last fall, we launched pumpkin cookies. And during the holidays, we had snickerdoodle. So it's a combination of things that I'm really passionate about, which is baking with the seasons, and
Hmm.
then things that my customers have specifically asked for.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. I love to hear success stories like this. It just kind of like makes my heart warm, like these entrepreneurship stories. It just takes me back to when I used to work with entrepreneurs and, helping them grow their businesses. So this is so exciting and it's fun to watch you kind of grow and evolve over time. How has your blog evolved as your cookie business has evolved?
So in the early days of the cookie business, the blog was kind of on the back burner as I
Mhm.
grew this business. But now that I'm back into blogging, it's been really fun because the cookie business is a lot of manual labor and being up on my feet all day. And then it's really nice with blogging at the end of the day, I can jump on and sit down, have a nice snack and
Yeah.
blog and
Put your
connect
feet
with
up.
yes, and connect with my customers in a different way. But both industries and both of my careers, you could say, it's all about the customer. So nothing has changed in that sense. It's what does my audience want? How can I best serve them? So it's been cool because with blogging, it's really easy to get caught up in the numbers and the Google traffic and the business side of things. And the cookie business has really shifted my perspective of no, you need to be providing your audience what they're looking for. And how are you going to make their life better? And, maybe this recipe would never rank on Google, but your audience wants it for their Sunday night family dinner. So you need to
Yeah.
give that to them. So it's been really cool to kind of get back into blogging and view it through a new lens.
Yeah, and that is something that I think is missing from blogging, especially if you've been blogging for a long time and you're doing it seriously, to where you're depending on an income from it. You get to be dependent on the Google algorithms. And, like I say a lot of times, like I only cook for Google sometimes, and it's like you start to lose that passion because you're not cooking what you want to cook. You're cooking what everybody else or, somebody else wants you to cook. And you start to lose that spark. So it's good that you have both of those things going on where you can do both.
Right, exactly. And I totally, a couple years ago, got caught up in the whole SEO. And I think SEO is so important. So your
Mhm.
blog can get noticed and you can discover, new audience members that way. But at the end of the day, it's all about serving the audience.
Yeah.
And it's also really forced me to get back into creating content that I'm really passionate about.
Yeah.
It's not just cooking for Google. So it's
Yeah.
been interesting to see how a cookie business has shifted my perspective on blogging.
Yeah, that's fascinating. But it's good that you have that outlet too, because I know every once in a while I get very burnt out from doing my blog and cooking for other people like recipes that they want. And I remembered the one night or the one afternoon I was making my grocery list and I'm just like, I haven't made anything that I wanted to make in 2 years. Like I just, I'm cooking for everybody else. So I'm like, I am going to take today and I am going to cook what I want to cook. And I think I did Julia Child's beef bourguignon. And it took me a while because it has lots of complicated steps and all the things. And I just didn't care because I'm like, I'm doing it because I want to do it. And it
That
feels
sounds
so good.
amazing.
Yeah, it feels so good to do that every once in a while.
Oh, for sure. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
For a while. So used to post a lot of cookies on my blog. And then when
Yeah.
I started the cookie business, I was like, I can't possibly cook any more, bake any more cookies. So I had to shift to other desserts. But yeah, getting back into the kitchen and doing recipes that I really want to create has been really
Yeah.
fun.
Oh, that's awesome. So tell us more about things that you've learned in your foray into creating like an actual food product.
It has been the biggest learning curve. I mean, I could probably write a novel about everything that it's taught me. It's taught me a lot about myself too, which has been really a really rewarding journey in that
Yeah.
sense. But if we're talking about the business, I learned how to source different ingredients, what packaging these cookies need to be in, shelf life studies. I've learned how to scale recipes. So you
Mhm.
think I'm not just going to be baking a dozen cookies at a time. Now I need to be baking like 200 or 300 at a time. And
Right.
so how do you scale up a recipe? You can't just 10x everything. It's not going to work. I tried that. So it's been a big learning curve in that sense. And thankfully, I was actually a math major in college. So all of these numbers and spreadsheets and recipe creations have been really fun because I love the analytical side of things.
Yeah.
So that's been a journey in itself. And then probably the biggest learning curve has been how to build out a team
Mm,
because when everything was dependent on me, you know, I knew what I was doing, but you can't grow a business without help. So it was,
right.
when do I hire? What role do I hire? How do I delegate these tasks? How do I find someone who cares as much as I do? What
Yeah.
happens if this person makes a mistake? What happens if they're late to work? I
Yeah.
mean, just so many different things that I didn't even think about. And thankfully, I have a rock star team that I love them. They're amazing and they do great work for me. But finding them was difficult. How do you find these
Right.
people? What do you pay them? What days do they work? How many hours? I mean, they're just, it
So
feels
many
like sometimes
responsibilities.
that you're starting everything from scratch and just,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's been a big learning curve.
Yeah. So did you learn any important lessons in the kitchen? I'm like, any ways that you can be more efficient, or like you mentioned, you can't just 10x a recipe, which I tell people all the time. I do algebra every day with recipes. I'm like, algebra is like the core skill I'm using when I'm looking to alter a recipe, either scaling it up or scaling it back. So there is a place in the world for algebra.
Yes, I totally agree. Um, when it comes to becoming more efficient, I bought a really big mixer. So I'm not just using a small KitchenAid, I'm using
Mm,
an industrial size mixer. That has been really great. I also have access to more ovens. So,
okay.
but what I have found is that with my team at work is kind of doing like an assembly line. So one person is making the dough, one person is scooping the dough, one person is then putting it in and out of the oven, and then the next person is packaging it. So I found that with all these moving pieces, instead of having one person do all of that, to have one person on each of those roles has really streamlined everything.
Oh yeah, I bet that would streamline things. Have you run into any difficulties with any of the recipes that you've created?
Each recipe, each flavor always takes me a little bit to nail. So, like I said, the chocolate chip cookies took me 26 tries. That was by far the most difficult. And then the triple chocolate, I think, was 16. I have it all in my notes app. And then the brownie was actually only two. That one was like a piece of cake.
Literally, piece of
Yeah,
cake.
literally a piece of cake. And then all the other flavors now, I just build on the chocolate chip cookie recipe. So, for instance, we did pumpkin chocolate chip. And so I decided, oh, I'm just going to use pumpkin puree instead of the eggs because pumpkin is also a really great substitute for eggs. So that was a pretty easy transition into making that. But the biggest thing, really, when it comes to the recipes and the learning curve there was just how to scale them up. Also, prior to moving into our commercial kitchen last year, I had never baked with industrial ovens. I had always just baked with a home oven. They are very different. So that
Yeah.
was also talk about again one big learning curve. I keep saying learning curve, but that's just what it has been. It was kind of a challenge at first to understand how these ovens worked, but once I got that down, it was a lot easier. And now I can bake hundreds of cookies at once. But a home oven, I actually prefer baking in a home oven because the heat comes mostly from the bottom of the oven. So the cookies on the bottom used to get nice and golden, and on top used to stay a little bit gooey. With an industrial oven, heat's coming from everywhere. It's almost like if you put your home oven on broil, like heat is
Or like a
coming.
convection.
Yes, heat is coming from absolutely every direction, which is what I really need for a food product because it must be baked on all sides. But I was like, interesting, like the bottoms aren't quite as golden, the top isn't quite as gooey. Then I was like, you know what, this is actually better for shipping a product because the top can't be gooey when you're shipping these across the country.
No, I guess they would flatten out a little bit if they were
Yes,
too gooey.
might be a little melty and mushy by
Yeah.
the time it arrived at the customer's doorstep. But again, that was like when I moved into my commercial oven, my commercial facility last summer, the first time I baked with the ovens, I had a freak out because I'm like, wait, these look different. This is a little bit different. Like how am I going to grow this business if I can't use these ovens, and what does this whole process look like? And I remember I baked like 300 cookies that day and I was like, these look different. So what I did was instead of shipping them to customers, I got a big group of friends together and I said, all right, you all take a bunch of these home and I want your honest opinion. And they came back to me and said, we actually like these better. I'm like, okay, my work here is done.
There you go. Giant cookie party at Addison's house.
Yes, exactly. I was like, okay, thank goodness these ovens work. It's not the end of the world. I'm going to be okay.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So, like, have you had found any difficulties in incorporating like the serve safe or any of the regulations into your brand? Like those requirements?
So I met with someone who works for the state of Texas when it comes to food regulations. And um, I knew that I had to comply with all those laws, but I didn't really understand what a lot of the the jargon meant. So she kind of walked me through everything. And the biggest thing with baked goods is it's a time in the oven and a temperature that the oven must be at, which I was like, that's interesting. Because if I was making like a ginormous cookie and still hit the time and temperature, it'd be raw in the middle, but that's not the law. So getting the time and the temperature down, and then having our packages are completely heat sealed, so you can't open them in transit. So we worked with a packaging supplier here in Texas, and they've been really great to work with. But again, didn't know how to do any of this stuff. I found this food regulation woman on LinkedIn, sent her a message and said, "Hey, I'll send you some cookies if you give me 20 minutes of your time and teach me everything I need to know about complying with the state of Texas laws." So that's how that all came to be.
That's awesome. I love that you're bribing people with cookies all over the place. Your
Who
friends,
doesn't want free cookies, right?
right? And good
Yes,
cookies at that, gourmet good cookies.
exactly.
That's
Yes.
awesome. Yeah, I know in Pennsylvania, and I mentioned serve safe, and then after it came out of my mouth, I'm thinking, oh, that's probably just a Pennsylvania thing that we have what's called serve safe. But yeah, you're required to take a course, and there's all these hoops that you have to jump through in order to do it. And I imagine that it may change your process because the way you were doing it before, may have inadvertently not been the way that the state wants you to do it. And so you have to
Right.
change things. Yeah.
I will say we had to, in Texas, we have to go through this online course to get your food handler's license. So I did have to do that. I did that before I even launched.
Right.
And most of that stuff was pretty common sense,
Hmm.
um, but nevertheless, good to go through it.
Yeah. And there's steps, and it's good that they have that in place so that
Mhm.
any person isn't just mass producing unquality, not quality, what's the word I want to look for? Not quality items out of their home kitchen and selling them to people and they're getting sick.
Yes,
That is the last
exactly.
thing you want.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, just out of curiosity, how many cookies do you think you've eaten in the past 18 months?
Oh my goodness, that is it. That is a really great question. I ate the majority of them before we launched because I was trying all these different recipe variations over the last, okay, let's see, 18 months. That's like 500 and over 500 days, probably about 1,000 cookies. I'd say I average about two per day,
My
which is
goodness.
also why I go running every day
To
because
support your cookie habit.
they balance each other out, right? It's
Yeah.
all about a balanced life,
Yeah.
which a balanced life is a cookie in each hand.
Yeah.
But yes, I eat a lot. I eat a lot of cookies.
That is.
I joke that I truly have the best job in the world.
Oh, you do, most certainly. I think the only thing in my mind that would rival that would be an ice cream factory.
Oh, yes.
That would rival that in my mind. But
Which is funny you mention that because I always thought like it'd be so cool to start a healthy ice cream brand.
mm,
Knowing what I know now about the food industry, mark my words, I will never, ever launch a frozen product. It is an absolute logistical nightmare.
oh, I can't even imagine. I can't even
Nightmare.
imagine.
Absolute nightmare. I mean, you can't even to ship it to a customer across the country, you're talking about dry ice, insulation in the box, you're overnighting the pack. I mean, it is just, it's so costly.
Yeah.
So one day I was like, oh, it'd be so cool to like have ice cream too. And then I was like, absolutely not.
Let somebody else handle that logistical nightmare.
Yes. Yes. Like, I'll just make my homemade ice cream for myself.
Yeah. Or like you could get into the ice cream sandwich, cookie sandwich business, but like you'll sell the cookies to the ice cream person, let them assemble them and ship them out.
I like that idea.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to think outside the box, put the onus on
Right.
somebody else.
Right.
I always said that
Exactly.
with restaurants too. Like I'd always wanted a restaurant when I was younger. And like I had it all like mapped out. I had a notebook where everything was planned out, how I wanted to do it and everything. And then I worked in a restaurant. And I'm like, oh no, this will not happen.
Right. I think a lot of people don't even realize how much work goes into
Yeah.
any business. And it's funny, during this whole journey, it has really made me appreciate every entrepreneur out there because not only is it risky and terrifying in the beginning to put your name on something and to really take that risk. But it is an unbelievable amount of work that most people just can't
Yeah.
appreciate. And so now I'm like, oh, when I go to a restaurant, I'm like, I wonder who owns this. I wonder what their story is. And,
Yeah.
if they mess up my order, I'm like, it's totally fine. Like I understand now, how mistakes can happen and that at the end of the day, people are mostly just trying to do the best that they can.
Yeah, they're not out there to, give you awful service or the wrong product or anything like that. So yeah, some grace goes a long way.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, I mean, really do. My father was like a serial entrepreneur, and I saw from a very young age like how much blood, sweat, and tears goes into starting and operating your own business. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And when they say shop small, I mean, people are really putting their heart and soul and their whole family's success on the line with these small businesses. So
Mhm.
yeah, I have a soft spot in my heart for entrepreneurs too.
Right. And it's also made me want to shop small businesses more and more
Mhm.
because I realize that it could literally be supporting somebody's family. And
Yeah.
I love supporting that mission. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of work. It's also incredibly rewarding though.
Yeah, it is. And it takes a special kind of person, I think, to be able to start a business. I mean, you have to be a bit of a planner and you have to be a little bit organized. You have to have like all these characteristics, at least a little bit of it in
Mhm.
order to make it work. And you have to be a risk taker. You have to be willing to, step out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Absolutely. I think entrepreneurs have a great mix of a little bit of craziness and a little bit of confidence. Like you truly have to be crazy to think that you can do this and make it, but you also have to be smart enough to actually do it and to
Hmm.
grow your business. So I think us entrepreneurs are a different breed. I don't think the average person is cut out for it. But it is definitely a crazy ride for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm so glad to hear your story is blossoming into this wonderful success story. I mean, I remember you being on Zooms with you and you're literally pulling the trays of cookies out of your home oven and it's been an amazing what the one story where you had it was right before a meeting and you had just gotten back from picking up, a car full of flour and sugar and you had to
Yes.
carry it all upstairs. Like I can't
Oh my
even
goodness.
imagine.
I honestly think I blocked a lot of that out from my memory because it was just like
Yeah.
so much work and I was so exhausted. And yeah, that's when I was still operating out of my home kitchen and getting literally pallets of ingredients delivered. And the
Mhm.
delivery guy's like, I usually show up to like a factory and where are you going to put this? And I'm like, next to the couch. It just was absolutely wild. And I'm so thankful now that I'm moved into the commercial facility
Yeah.
and have a fulfillment area and storage. And boy, it's actually crazy to think about where this began.
It's so funny. It's such a great story too. And so many small businesses have that in the way that they've evolved over time. And I think it's one of those things, make sure you capture that so you don't ever forget it because it's part of your legacy.
Yes, that's a really good piece of advice.
Any final thoughts you want to leave with our listeners before we wrap up?
If anyone has any questions, they can definitely reach out to me on Instagram. I'm organically Addison, and then I'm also sweet.addisons. If you're interested in buying the cookies, it's sweetaddisons.com. We do ship nationwide. And I always like to say that life is short. Don't let fear hold you back. And if you have a dream on your heart, pursue that dream. People are going to think you're crazy, might be a little embarrassing and terrifying at first, but when you make it big, they'll be coming knocking on your door. So go for it. Life is way too short to
Yeah.
not pursue your dreams.
That is great advice. And find a mentor.
Yes, find a mentor. Yes. And send
Yeah.
them free cookies.
Or hot sauce or whatever it is that you're making.
Yes. If
Vinaigrette.
right. People love free food.
Yes,
So,
they do. Oh, they do. They certainly do. Yeah,
yes,
that is great advice and it's absolutely true. And it's sometimes you just have to. It's like, before you stick your toe in the pool, you just pinch your nose and just jump in and figure it out. Like what's the worst that could happen?
there's no water in the pool. and that would really hurt. But you just got to jump.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go there, but okay.
Check to make sure there's water and then jump.
And then jump. Yes.
But sometimes being an entrepreneur, it feels like you're, what's the phrase, learning how to build the plane as you're flying it.
Yes.
Like you don't exactly know what you're doing, but you're in the air. You got to keep going and you got to figure it out as you're doing it.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, everything is figure outable, you know.
Yes.
In 2025, there's so much technology. We can definitely figure it out.
Absolutely agree.
Well, this has been great, Addison. Thank you so much. And you did tell our listeners where they can find you online. And I will be sure to include all of those in the show notes. So you can head over there to click on links to find Addison. And I want to thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Behind the Recipe. I hope you enjoyed our conversation, picked up a few tips, and maybe got a little inspiration to create something in your kitchen and share it with the world. So if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave me a review. And of course, make sure you share this episode with someone who loves food. Until next time, happy cooking. And remember, everything is better when shared in the kitchen.